warned that the presence of American ground troops in Libya could be counterproductive. Let's go back to Shihab in Washington for more.
Divya, John Kerry, who chairs the Senate's Foreign Relations Committee, instead recommended that the international community make preparations for a no-fly zone in the event of a massacre of civilians by the Libyan Air Force.
1. Prepare a no-fly zone in conjunction with our allies, not implement it. Certainly, first hope would be, if it were called on, to be done only in the context of international agreement and sanction. But right now they don't want that, and I think that's good. The last thing we want to think about is any kind of military intervention, and I don't consider the fly zone stepping over that line. We don't want troops on the ground. They don't want troops on the ground. That would be counterproductive.
Well, speaking on US television, John Kerry also said that in the American national interest for Gaddafi to step down because of the, quote, mischief he threatens in the future, that America was making its presence felt in the region by offering humanitarian assistance, and he said that over $30 billion of Gaddafi's assets had been frozen and would be made available to the opposition for, quote, a new Libya. He didn't set any time frame for that to happen, though. AlJazeera did seek clarification from the State Department, but it simply referred us back to Senator Kerry's office, which wouldn't comment further. Senator Kerry also said that the opposition in Libya is just beginning to define itself. We're joined by Ali Abazkouk. He's the director of the Washington-based Libya Forum, which was created in 2003, and he's also been in contact with that national council. First of all, though, from what we heard from John Kerry and what we heard from other politicians in the Sunday talk shows, do you feel that there is active consideration about some of these options, or is it simply discussing Libya to show that there is engagement, even if a decision has been made not to get involved yet?
Well, first of all, I think it's a time statement by Senator Kerry, and he has always been on the vanguard of the support of the Libyan, pro-democracy uprising. Also, Senator McCain has been the same thing. Both of them really are very much appreciative by the Libyan community.
But Senator McCain goes so far as to talk about real military action, US military action, which the opposition, or at least the interim council, as we should call it now, as you would call it, isn't even asking for, because they say that would be counterproductive.
I know. The people in the council and the people of Libya, they don't want any kind of foreign soldiers on the Libyan soil. But at the same time, asking for a no-fly zone, because Gaddafi has got the Air Force. And with the Air Force, he doesn't have any limits of use of his power. And he has really massacred many of the people. So when I hear people that if he does it, he has been doing it daily, on a daily basis. The city of Zawiya has been bombarded by 3 battalions and Air Force of Gaddafi with civilians there. There's no army there. There's no battalion there to defend it. But nevertheless, the people are so brave that until now they are really defending it. And the reason is because Zawiya has the largest oil refinery there. And it seems to be that Gaddafi is running short of fuel, and he wants to control that refinery.
But clearly a decision, at least for the moment, seems to have been made that any US intervention like that and the airstrikes the no-fly zone would be counterproductive in Washington. At the moment, there does seem to be an active decision on that. Meanwhile, we have the interim transitional national council that is now has been formed and announced and is speaking on behalf of the opposition, we're told, or at least the anti-Gaddafi forces. What are we to make of it? We heard actually from a former Libyan minister about 38 minutes ago, or half an hour ago. Do these figures speak for those who have risen up against Gaddafi, or are they simply former regime officials, former ministers and so forth, who are taking leadership of a movement they may not represent?
Well, the council speaks for the Libyan people, for the pro-democracy uprising. And the leaders of the council has been shown to be people of integrity and people of trustworthiness. And that's why they have been chosen by the revolutionary youth movement, February 17, who are part of the council. And I think anybody else cannot speak on behalf of the council. There are some people who have connections and contacts with the council. I am personally one of those people who always give them, questions and ask them if they need any advice, if they need any help.
So who should we rely upon to give us the thoughts of the council on a day-to-day basis?
The council has a spokesman. Mr. Abdul Hafid Ghoga is the spokesman of the council.
So these figures that we talked to?
I can't speak of others, but I can assure you for certainty that there is only one spokesman for the council. The president is Mustafa Abdul Jalil, and the spokesman for the council is Mr. Abdul Hafid Ghoga.
Right, thank you for the clarification. Thanks a lot. That's all from Washington. Let's return to Doha.
Migrant workers in Libya have been fleeing the country since the uprising began. But on the Tunisia-Libya border, workers from Ghana say they're being discriminated against, and many feel that their government has abandoned them. Mohammed Val has more.
Anger and protest at Ras Jdir on the Libyan border with Tunisia. More than a week after they have crossed the border, fleeing the fighting in Libya, these African workers from Ghana are feeling desperate, and they say they've been let down by their country.
We want to go! We want to go! We need the help!
It's very clear these Ghanaians are not angry with the Tunisian government. They said they love the Tunisian government. They said they love Tunisia, but they are angry with their own government, they say, because it has not come to help them.
They also complain of what they think is discrimination against them in the camp.
Everywhere we go, Bangladesh. Bangladesh. We don't know where to eat. When we join a queue, tabu, Bangladesh, no Ghana, no Nigeria. You don't understand. We don't understand the reason why, where we are black or what.
But local Tunisian workers and volunteers are denying the charge.
Guys, you are in home here, you are home right now here.
Yes,
so we're going to help you to go back. We will help you to go back.
Ghanaian migrants have described some of the horrors they went through before getting out of Libya.
You see, they take my money, they not stick on my back. We want to go Ghana. We want to go Ghana government to come and take us from here.
One of their wounded still cannot walk.
No problem, keep quiet.
Another is writhing from cramps and fever inside the tent. It's obvious that the situation of these African workers was hazardous. The rebels accused them of serving as mercenaries for the Libyan regime, and at the same time, they say they have been beaten and looted by Gaddafi's security forces. After all those hardships, they now have only one demand.
When are you taking us? When are you taking us back to Ghana?
Mohammed Val, AlJazeera, Ras Jdir on the Libyan-Tunisian border.
Truck drivers in Gaza are on an indefinite strike. They're protesting against Israel's permanent closure of the commercial Karni crossing in the north of the Strip. Now, this leaves the Karam Abu Salam crossing in the south as the only way for goods to get in and out of Gaza. Nicole Johnston has more from Rafah.
Here at Rafah, hundreds of Gaza's truck drivers are on strike. They've blocked the entrance to the Karam Abu Salam crossing, and that means at the moment no supplies can get in and out of Gaza. Now they're striking because Israel has closed the Karni crossing, and the drivers are saying that they won't work until it reopens. Now, Karni used to be the main export and import point for Gaza, but when Hamas took over, Israel closed it, except for gravel and grain, and now Israel has shut it down completely.
Karni is a well-prepared crossing for security and infrastructure. It's cheaper. It's closer to the city, to the factories, to the warehouses.